So I'm going to be reading the intro to Bone, Quest for the Spark. It's illustrated by Jeff Smith and written by Tom Sniegoski. A weekend sun dawned feebly in the eastern sky, its golden rays trapped by ominous gray clouds. There wasn't the slightest chance of sunlight reaching and warming the kingdom of Athea far below. Grandma Ben awoke with a start, that terrible gitchy feeling that made her head swim and her legs wobble, rousing her from a restless sleep. This wasn't good, not good at all. She had this feeling off and on for most of her life. The first time when she was just a little girl and princess of Athea. She later became queen, but then she gave up the crown to move to the valley and raise her granddaughter Thorn. There's nothing worse than starting a day off with the gitchy feeling, she thought, throwing back the covers and pulling on her robe against the chill that filled her. Bedroom. It was an omen of bad things to come. She could spend the whole day just waiting for something to happen, and it always did. The gitchy feeling was never wrong. And this time, Grandma didn't have long to wait. She stood in front of the window in the royal castle, the damp wind tousling her white hair, and took note of the heavy sky. That was when she heard the scream, high-pitched and filled with fear. Grandma Ben tore from her room out into the castle hallway, eyes squinting through the early morning dimness as she searched for the source of such a horrible sound. The scream came again, and she found herself growing afraid as she ran toward it, for the screaming was coming from the royal bedchamber, from Queen Thorn's room. Not bothering to knock, Grandma Ben threw open the door and charged inside. The Queen's handmaiden, Prissy, stood beside the large bed, her eyes wide and swollen with terror. Queen Thorn lay in the center of the grand mattress. The sheets and blankets rippled at her feet. "What is it, Priss?" Grandma said. I heard her cry out," Prissy said, her voice trembling. "I thought she was having a nightmare." Queen Thorn, held firmly in the grip of sleep, moaned, as her head thrashed from side to side upon her pillow. "Looks like she still is," Grandma Ben said. She reached down to gently grab hold of her granddaughter's foot. Her toes were cold, like pieces of ice. "Thorn, honey, wake up." She gave the girl's foot a shake. "It's all right. You're having a bad dream. Time to wake up." The Queen moaned all the louder, whimpering pathetically. "Thorn," Grandma called again, raising her voice. She squeezed the girl's toes enough to hurt, but still the Queen remained asleep. "Do you see?" Prissy asked in a frightened whisper. "I tried to wake her too, but she won't wake up." Queen Thorn groaned and began to tremble with what could have been the cold or something worse. This was the kind of thing that Grandma Ben had always been afraid of, the kind of thing that she had hoped to protect her grandchild from when she'd whisked her away to hide in the valley. But fate had a way of tracking you, like a bloodhound on a scent, and it found them, disrupting the peace that they had for so long. Grandma reached down to the foot of the bed and pulled the covers up and over the sleeping Thorn, just as her own head began to swim and her legs began to wobble again. It was an omen of bad things to come, and the gitching feeling had never been wrong. So that's the end of the intro to Bone, Quest for the Spark. Some questions that you could answer would be, what was your favorite part to this chapter? What characters did you meet? And what what interests you the most in this chapter?